This is the Hypothetically Sound podcast, hosted by Alec, Kevin, Randy, and Xavier, a show that explores the maybes, how comes, and what ifs of life. Join in on the unfiltered, raw, and real conversations today.
Welcome back, everybody, to Hypothetically Sound. Thank you guys for listening and or watching the podcast. Today, it's a special episode. We're going to take a look at a very popular psychological and social experiment that was done in the 70s. Now, this social experiment has come back to light and become popular again ever since Colin Kaepernick took the knee during the NFL game and they got blackballed by the NFL. She's appeared on TV, interviewed on Jimmy Fallon, a bunch of different shows to bring up her experiment she did to kids. Now, the person we're talking about is Jane Elliot, and you might know her from the documentary on PBS that we all watched right before this podcast. Or you also might know her from the experiment, its name itself, the Brown Eyes, Blue Eyes experiment. Like I said, it's a very popular one among teachers nowadays. I myself, in high school, helped a teacher do it to a class. And in college, I have used it in different classrooms, in different presentations, and I've conducted this study once myself. So I think it's very impactful, and I think it'll be a good topic for us to talk today about. So, guys, after watching it, what was your first impressions of the Brown Eyes, Blue Eyes experiment?
It was actually really effective.
I think I think Xavier's right. I think it's pretty effective for the most part. Kind of unfortunate that it's something that I think is necessary.
Mm-hmm. I just think how is effective though is effective across such a wide range in terms of different emotions that it made people feel. So I think that almost no matter what seat of life you're in, you could relate to, not enjoying the feeling of feeling lesser than someone else or anything like that. So not only that, it brought out, parts of the anger that it brings with. So I think it definitely was effective across a wide range.
Definitely. Now, you guys say you thought it was effective. So do you think that this experiment actually changed these kids? Because when you first start watching the PBS documentary where she's in the classroom from the original one, these kids are throwing around the N-word without any hesitation, without any tongue-in-cheek or anything like that. They're just saying it, and they go on because it shows them in the present at the time of the documentary being made, coming back and watching it, and they said that certain parts of the life have changed. Do you think it's true, or do you think they're just saying it for the camera?
I definitely think it's true. I don't think, that soul experience changed their entire life, but I think that it opened the doorway for them to be, to recognize when those situations happen, or to be maybe slightly more mindful to it, subconsciously, I would imagine.
Yeah, I would say, for the most part, I don't think any of them were really making up.
Not subconscious. Sorry.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I don't think any of them were making it up to even try to fit in. There was one guy in the reunion that seemed kind of uncomfortable with it. Mm-hmm. I think he had a mustache. He looked like he tossed around a hard R occasionally. I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, no, he definitely besides him, all of them looked more comfortable talking about it and giving real life experiences. So I think it stuck with them in a positive way. Like Xavier said, it's just something that they see something happening and it's triggered the memory.
More woke to it, rather, right?
Yeah.
Now, Alec and I currently live in the South, which is known, when you think of racism, you think the South. You think the Bible Belt, the whole nine. This documentary takes place in Iowa. And now we all grew up in the North, in the Midwest. Do you think a documentary like this is shedding light on the fact that the Midwest is actually extremely racist, but they hide behind this Midwestern nice, this Minnesota nice that is stereotypical of the Midwest.
It's not surprising to me. Hold on. It's really not surprising to me. I think I spent a lot of time, I mean, me and you both, Randy, spent a lot of time in Minnesota and in Wisconsin, and like I went to, small town USA at Stratford, and I had a lot of my friends that were like, I don't think they're racist people, but like just like a small town mentality that like triggered a lot of it, and they would sometimes say racist shit that I don't think they like fully meant. For example, like to justify some things, they would like walk down the street or see on the news something about African American doing something bad. They'd be like, "Oh, I hate black people," and I'll be in the vicinity, and they'll quickly go like, "Oh, but not you. I don't see you as black," like to justify it, because to them, black people is all stereotypes.
Mm-hmm.
Like they don't have the experience that like someone in the inner city school who does go to school of like multiple types of races and stuff to experience more of the culture and the people and realize that we're all just the same,
Yeah.
Like there's good and bad of each race.
No, I was about to say, I think, I think everyone's racist. Just gonna say that.
100%, yeah.
And I think that, there are certain stereotypes that every race hold about other races and things like that. So I think that, unfortunately, it's just everywhere.
Yeah, and what's crazy is, like in the South and just timer down here, people are open about how they feel about things. No one's hiding. I remember when I talked about earlier about doing this in high school, the reason it happened is because it was Black History Month, and in Hudson, in our history class, we literally talked about it for 2 days. And I noticed it during my class period that kids were afraid to ask questions. Like I was essentially leading the discussion on race because I was the only person of color in there. And I brought it up to my teacher afterwards, and I said, we were talking about, I was like, could we do experiment? You lead your normal class on the first day and record it and see what they do without me in there. And then the second day, let me come sit in the class and see how things change. And as we thought, like during the first day, like you see in the documentary, they're open to talk about these things because they don't have to worry about offending or appearing a certain way. Because in that room, everybody looks like them, so they don't feel like they're going to be judged. But as soon as I come in the room, or a person of color is in the room, they're afraid of being judged. They're afraid of being labeled a certain way, and they don't discuss these issues. And yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was gonna say, or it's like if you're in class, Xavier, I'm sure you probably maybe experienced it. Like you're in history class, you talk about like slavery or some shit, and kids instinctively look at you. Did you not have that?
I don't think I did, because I was fortunate enough to go to school with a very, very, very diverse amount of people.
That's fair. That's fair.
And it was never even a thing. I mean, there is enough, people of color in the room to be. It almost, I'm not even gonna lie, in some cases, sometimes felt like they were the majority in some of those classes. So,
and that's how it was until I moved to Hudson. And we went to school in Minneapolis, and like it was vice versa. I was in classrooms that were 98% people of color, and then 2% white. And so it was completely different. And like then I didn't notice it because it wasn't a thing. No one cared about appearing racist. People just said whatever they wanted to say. And then in high school that happened. And then when I went to college, in a 400 level class, so one of the highest classes you could take in our ethical racial studies department, we just start discussing white privilege. And we sat around in a circle when we were talking, and what shocked me was for easily 90% of the class, they hadn't met, like legitimately, they hadn't met a person of color until they got in college. Like that's I think the huge issue with rural Midwest is the lack of diversity. And when you're getting all of your information from news and movies and TV, you get those stereotypes, those racist stereotypes that we all know are in the media, and that's all you know. And so, yeah, you turn on the news, like Alex said, and a black guy kills somebody. God, I hate black people. All they do is kill people because that's all you see in the news. And these kids are like growing up with that ideas that this is all that's going to happen. They only do rap and they're really good at basketball and things like that. And this experiment brings that to the forefront for these kids is you're seeing things a certain way because that's how they're geared, which leads me into the next question about the documentary for you guys. You saw in the documentary that she started with the brown eyes and told them they were smart. And they completed her cards in like 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Yeah. And then the next day, she told them they were dumb. And it took them 4 minutes. Yeah. Do you think that is what kind of allowed segregation and slavery to last so long? Is they were so indoctrinated into this idea that they were dumb that they couldn't.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
That's a real thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's literally a tactic used in not just applied there, but it's applied in all over the place in the workplace and, everywhere.
Yeah,
everywhere where you can benefit by making someone feel a certain way. That it's there.
Oh yeah.
100%.
Yeah. If you count kind of fucking words, if you constantly degrade and make someone unsure of themselves, there is a very, very good chance that these people will not rise up. You show that you try to prove that you have no power. They have no power. You degrade them. You make them feel like they're not smart enough to even come up with a coup.
They begin to believe it.
And yeah, you believe it. Like obviously, I remember Kanye West once tweeting, one of his controversial breakdowns. He was talking about how slaves chose to be slaves because there were so many slaves against so little masters and all that. But like that's literally the power of putting people down like that is like they think I'm not good enough to even attempt to do this, even with a full group of people. Like logically, if I'm in that situation, it's easy. But like when it's actually happening to you, whether it's something as terrible as slavery or the workplace or whatever, when it's happening to you, you doubt yourself and it affects you. It affects you like with everything you do because you're just not sure if this is the right thing. And you don't want to get that punishment, that belittlement, that whatever it is,
Mm-hmm. So Jane Elliot in the documentary, she doesn't just do this experiment to kids. This experiment was what made her very popular and allowed her to travel and teach the experiment to other teachers and do it for other people. In the documentary itself that will be posted in our description so you can watch it after the podcast, she also does it at a prison to prison guards. And you can see in the documentary how like it took kids talking to other kids for them to get angry in the children's version of the experiment. Like they got angry at each other because they used the power to belittle each other. But in the adult version, it's just her talking to these people and inconveniencing them very minimally. Oh, like she made the brown eyes in this experiment sit in the hall for 40 minutes.
Blue eyes.
To sit in the hall for 40 minutes. And then they came in and they were just so angry and like she constantly like went at them questioning their logic and they got so upset. Why do you think it took so little to trigger adults compared to the children?
So I personally believe that this one comes down to privilege 100%. Like you grow up and you're not used to being treated in such a way, and like it doesn't matter what color you are. Like we grow up, we go to whatever training or whatever, you instantly just sit down wherever the hell you want, you just do whatever you want, like it's a freedom thing, right? And you start stripping away that freedom. I think like being 30 years of never having that ever happen to you and it's suddenly happening to you but not other people. And I think that like amplified like what the fuck's going on? Why am I not in this select group that's getting treated right? You know.
Mm-hmm.
And I think like in that group particular, I think obviously Blue Eyes is mostly predominantly white. That these guys definitely around that time never had some shit like that even like remotely close to them happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it was like an instant like this is bullshit. What's going on? You had that one lady that like snapped on I forgot her name, the teacher.
Jane Elliot.
Thank you, Jane Elliot. Instantly snapped saying how this is unfair and try to go at him, and everyone else is just like sitting there quiet because they saw how bad that random Blue Eyes got yelled at for talking back, and how that one that wasn't paying attention got belittled.
Mhm.
And you could tell like everyone was sick of it on the Blue Eye side, but no one was like doing anything. Like even the dudes started like submitting to everything that was happening. And I think they're just like familiar with it, potentially scared, and then obviously angry because like it's just all new and instant. It was like no warning whatsoever. They just walked in there. We're told, "Hey, your Blue Eyes, wear the scarf," and then they saw other people get treated better.
Mm-hmm.
I think too. Yeah. I totally forgot where I was about to go.
That's fine. Good. And I think at least my biggest takeaway from watching the documentary and studying Jane Elliot as I have in my life is that it's an experiment that needs to be done when people are kids. Because you said as adults, they have the privilege and understanding of how their life is shaped already.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, I don't even necessarily know if it's privilege as much as it's something that's ingrained into your system. So if you grow up a certain way, and that's just again all you know, rather than anything, when someone tells you it's wrong or your parents are wrong, so then you naturally are gonna go into your head and go, "Hey, how are you gonna be someone to tell me my mother and father are wrong, who worked very hard, who know what they're talking about?" You start to look at all of that. So that's gonna be, definitely a reason why someone could be combative, and I can definitely understand from their aspect, you know, why they were being competitive because it's human nature to defend the ones that you love and things like that. But yeah, once broken down, a lot of them started to really kind of look at it like, yo, it really does not feel good to have that feeling of oppression or have that feeling in the room, and just have to sit there and deal with it.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think the craziest thing is that like these kids and these adults like instantly just like, well, the kids it took like a couple hours, and
Yeah.
the adults it took less than an hour for them to like break, and they weren't even getting treated too poorly. Like Jane was at most being rude.
Yeah.
Like saying just rude shit, not even like name calling, just being like giving generalizations. And then when they did something, be like, see, they're loud and obnoxious. And that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Like they weren't given much. And just that little bit was enough to like teeter them over the edge of just everything.
Mm-hmm. And she talks about all the time, like she's giving you literally a drop of what people of color, especially in the 70s, 80s, were facing. And people couldn't handle it. And as I'm talking, you guys, if you look in our description, you'll see I posted 2 more clips to Jane Elliott things. One is a clip of what she did with high school kids. And it got so bad for this one girl that she like blew up at Jane Elliott, left the room, and then came back and like was like huffing and puffing. And Jane Elliott was like, "You need to apologize to all the people of color in this room because they don't have the privilege to just get up and leave. This type of thing is every day of their lives. They can't just leave their color." And this girl literally just wouldn't apologize. She was like, "Sorry, the world sees." And she's like, "No, I want you to apologize for like asserting your privilege over these people." And like she just wouldn't do it. And so she just left the building. And then the biggest one that she's probably known for is she went on Oprah and did it to Oprah's audience. And they freaked out, like because Oprah let certain people win, gave them special treatment, and then didn't let the other people win. And at some point, one of the audience members brings up that why can't people not see color? Why can't we just be a melting pot? And Jane Elliot said a quote that I think is like it's a smart way of looking at this idea of a melting pot. She says, "We don't need a melting pot. We need a salad bowl. You put in the different things you want, and you want all of the things to be independent. The veggies, the onions, the cucumbers, the peppers. You want them to maintain their identity. You appreciate the difference in the salad. A melting pot, you don't appreciate the differences because it all melts together." She says, "We want a country of differences, not a country of the similar things."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 100% agree. Yeah.
That's a beautiful way to look at it.
Mm-hmm. And like Jane Elliott obviously has her naysayers. There are groups out there of color who see her as a race baiter, that see her as exploiting people of color to get fame and money, and see her as not really super woke, but like woke enough to make a difference. What is your take? Is it just, do you think that's just haters being haters, or
Yes,
from what you saw
100%,
you think it's haters being
100%, because
haters?
she's being successful in making a statement known. You know, everything that you would want to do, she's doing. She's
Mhm.
bringing light to it. That's all you can ask for.
Yeah, I think and one of the things, one of the clips she posted was a Facebook one, right?
Yeah.
And in the comments, there were a few comments in there that like people were essentially going at Jane for being rude to the girl that ended up crying and not wanting to apologize and taking that girl's side. And I personally don't see nothing wrong. I felt like if one of the black students or Latina students in there decided to act up, I feel like they get treated the same way, right?
Mhm.
100%, like nothing that she has done has told me she wouldn't treat them the same way.
Mhm.
But and I'm sure during her experiments she's had colored people on the brown eyed side and had them switch to deal with that stuff as well.
Yeah.
um there's nothing wrong with it, and it's something that needs to be done, because you shouldn't have someone reacting and crying over having to deal with not being able to sit next to someone and being told they're stupid, because it's literally just words, right?
Yeah.
It's the same argument that people use against like the N word, is like, it's just words, get over it, right?
Mhm.
But like there's zero reason to defend that. Like, it's something that's necessary. Like, having people react that way is why that experiment exists.
Mhm. Last question, and then we can look to the future. After Washington, another issue that comes up with this is that people believe the experiment is unethical and does more harm than good to kids. Do you agree or disagree? And would you allow your kids to be part of an experiment like this?
I 100% would. And I disagree, because there's no harm that can be involved in terms of exposing an individual to what it can feel like to do that to somebody, whether it be based on eye color or hair color or nail color or whatever you can think of, ear size, nose size, um, or anything like that. So it's I think it I don't think it would be ever harmful. And the only time I think that it could be harmful is if the, support network for that child goes and abuses the fresh exposure to that sort of thing. If they abuse that, then of course it would be negative. But if they embrace that in terms of accepting others and things like that, it can only be more successful. And that's exactly what, from my angle, what I feel like she's trying to do. So, is just start that exposure.
Yeah, I agree with Xavier. I don't think it can harm kids unless abused. If anything, I mean, during when they brought back those third graders, now that they were older, some getting married, some about to have kids, some with kids, they they said that it made them closer as like a family. I think doing it with young children is probably better to open up their eyes and make them kind of realize it than wait until they're even in high school. Like, example, that one girl crying, bitching, and leaving, refusing to a simple apology. Sorry that I, you know, walked out because I couldn't handle this little bit of discrimination. Like, people are set in their ways with the adults. Like, a lot of them are like, oh yeah, like, now if I see something happening, I'll be a little bit more aware of it. But like, I think it's less effective with adults because you're probably set in your ways for the most part, or will have a harder time to open yourself to it. Like, you deal with it and it was like, oh, that 1 hour was hell, and then they just go on with their day doing what they normally do.
I agree. I hope anybody who listens and watches the documentary, or anybody who's watched it in general, like, took something away and understood what it's like to be in a person of color's shoes for a little bit. Like, it's not gone. It is still prevalent today. And like, I understand that you yourself may not be racist or stereotype people or this or that, but understand at large there's still a massive amount of people in the world who are. And just being kind. Yeah, go ahead.
Not even just that, but the way we've been brought up, even if unintentional, there are a lot of stereotypes that you hold as a person that you may not realize that you have until you really stop and look at it. And that's completely unintentional, but everyone has them. Everyone has generally grown up around someone who has instilled some sort of view of something on them. And with stereotypes, or just anything in general, be more open to realizing if it's based towards a race or anything like that.
Yeah,
also,
yeah.
Sorry, Ren. I don't. Also, no one is born racist. We're all born into a racist field society, and it's something that we grow up and learn whether you want to or not. And it's something that can be learned. If time and time hasn't proved again, it's something that can be unlearned as well. We just need to work for it, and it's not just white people. It's literally everyone of every color. Like, including, like, I say stuff all the time, like, oh, that's a white person thing, like that 100% is racist, and it's something that I should and need to work on.
And I think that's an important thing. We're not saying us three are perfect in understanding, even with my studying.
Even with our jokes or anything like that, like, you know what I mean? Like, even that, like, you even, it's, I don't know.
Everybody,
It's
go ahead, sorry.
No, you go ahead. I didn't mean to talk.
Awkward. I was just saying, everybody's learning, and it's just about looking at yourself and seeing what you can do to be better to people around you. And like I said, we're all learning, like, over the course of the last 10 years. Like, I made sure to take out words in my vocabulary that are offensive to others. If someone's finding it offensive, just don't do it. Like, who cares if you don't find it offensive? If it hurts someone else, like, just don't use it. It's not that hard.
You can live without it. No.
But I mean, yeah, go ahead.
If they're offended by you saying the, or things like that, yeah. But
if it's bullshit, it's bullshit. But if you know it's wrong, then
right.
There's a lot of things in this world that we can't change, but change the things you can and just better yourself. It's not hard. As I try to lose weight, it's hard, but you know what I'm saying. Just make the changes you can and look out for people around you.
Love one another.
But thank you guys for the conversation. Obviously, this topic is massive, and we took a very broad stroke, even at this small sliver of it. We could talk about this for hours and hours. In the future, we'll obviously come back to different race things. I want to talk to you guys about being mixed in your experience. of being mixed in today's society.
Big one for
I
sure.
want to talk about white privilege and other things like that, where we'll have guests on to talk about it too. But for now, it is that time of the podcast where we are sellouts and do our shout outs. So thank you guys, as always, for listening to the podcast. It means the world to us.
It does.
As always, if you like what you see people wearing, for example, Alex's shirt, Xavier's shirt, the artwork that's usually behind me, go to our merch store, sirbude.com/merch. All of our things are there. Check us out on YouTube, on Podbean. We have a Twitter now. High Sound Podcast.
You have a Twitter?
We're everywhere. Yeah,
we do have a Twitter. We just
when did we get a Twitter?
Last week.
Yeah, last week.
Oh, thanks for the memo.
No problem, man. You just a lot of Sea of Thieves. Shout out to everyone that's willing and trying to make that change.
And also
go ahead, finish it for me, baby. You got this. I believe in you. Run it.
I just want to make sure I was awkward there.
I fucking hate you. Anyways, we actually it's really good to see that there are people out there willing to make that change that they need to make. And it's appreciated, even if you don't think no one notices. It's definitely an appreciated thing. Like bettering yourself and being kind to people is great. Yeah.
Mind and heart. Opening your mind, opening your heart.
Exactly. And as always, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Let us know what you thought of the episode of Jane Elliot. And let us know what type of things you would like to see from our October series of events that we're going to be putting out. Let us know if there's movies you want us to review. If you want to see us carve a pumpkin,
we can go.
Just let us know what you want to see.
Y'all can carve that pumpkin, though.
Honestly, I'd be surprised if you couldn't carve a pumpkin.
Me?
You do art. What do you mean, me?
I've only ever carved a pumpkin like twice in my life.
Oh, so you just can't do pumpkin carving?
I do I'm one of those people that get like the pumpkin carving set bitch the whole time I'm doing it, and I have like a template and I never use it. I just make like a stupid ass like triangle eye and mouth thing, and be like, good.
But you do art.
I do art, yes, but I don't do pumpkin carving. It's not.
I was just asking.
Medium. It's not my medium.
Yeah, I get it.
You should get it because it's not my medium. Like I'm.
Man, I get it. Don't worry. Not the medium.
I'm gonna beat your ass next time I see you, dog.
Yeah.
Be fighting. Shut up.
And from us, angry
all
folks.
Three your nipples. Yeah,
all three nipples. He said you have three nipples. Sorry.
What are you talking about?
What are you talking about? You got three, dude. You straight up were like, I got three nipples. You pulled up your shirt with like 1, 2, and then pointed at the third
that's what I did.
Yes.
What are you pointing at? Whoa.
You said 3 nipples. You showed me twice. I swam with you. Don't even try to hide your nipples. It's out in the world. They know you got big ass forehead, big ass nose, 3 nipples. You got a little bit of extra of everything.
We love you guys. Deuces.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Hypothetically Sound. We hope you enjoyed the episode. All episodes can be found at hypotheticallysound.podbean.com, as well as on Apple, Spotify, and Pandora. For full unedited video versions of the podcast, please visit us at youtube.com/hypotheticallysound.